This is The Hollywood Outsider. We are a weekly movie and TV podcast that can be found at thehollywoodoutsiders.com with a new episode every Thursday. You can also grab our Apple or Google app. We're on iTunes, Stitcher, or whatever podcast app you use. Our email is feedback@thehollywoodoutsiders.com. This is a special episode of our show as we are live at the Blue Box Cafe for our podcast marathon to help raise money for Little Ben. Thank you all for being here. Very much appreciated. For this episode, we're going to be talking about movie news, and we're also going to be discussing which TV and movie franchises, or how do you know when a movie or TV franchise should be done and should be finished. So we're going to get into that. But start out with some. Oh,
you going to introduce anybody, or are you just going to?
Well, they just
keep rolling. Yeah,
just
some people are new.
Some people are new.
Yeah.
With me are my fellow co-hosts, Aaron Peterson.
What's up?
He's kind of a jerk.
Yeah.
And Troy Heinritz.
Hi, everybody. How are you?
What's that? I did vote for her director in the remake episode.
Tarantino.
Remake this movie right. You should listen to it when it comes out. It'll be glorious.
Well, we're going to start out with some sad news. Unfortunately, Roddy Piper has passed away this week.
Yeah, did everybody hear that? Roddy Piper passed away. That's very sad. If you've never seen They Live, you should stop listening and do that now.
Yep.
You guys are younger. Have you ever seen that movie, They Live? You should watch it. He's there to kick ass and chew bubble gum, and he's all out of
gum.
Yeah, so our thoughts are with him.
Yes. But we do have some interesting news. There was a story that was floating around that was kind of a rumor that you guys heard about the Gambit movie that's supposed to be made in the couple of next years. You know, Gambit from X-Men. It was in talks.
I actually don't think anybody knows him.
What's that?
It seems like he's one of the very few known comic book characters.
He's got a very big following, which is
why they're making the movie.
Exactly. Well, Channing Tatum was in talks.
That's an opinion. That's not a fact. I'm just saying.
Can I go?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead, Scott.
Well, Channing Tatum was supposed to be playing the role of Gambit, and it was rumored this week that he was going to be backing out of the role. And this whole discussion came up as to whether or not they should just cancel the whole movie if Channing Tatum wasn't going to do it. Well, today it was announced that he's signing the line. Apparently, he's involved, and this is exactly why we don't talk about rumors on our show, because rumors are just that, rumors, and a lot of times they just never pan out. So
rumors are lies.
How do you guys feel about that? It's actually official. Are you excited about this?
I was excited for Gambit when they first announced it. I think it's going to be really great to be another character in that universe. But I'm not a big Channing Tatum fan to begin with, so I was really excited when I heard he wasn't going to be in it.
Have you ever seen his sexy dance?
I don't want to see his sexy dance.
No. Man's got movements.
What is it about Gambit that appeals to so many characters? Because he was in the X-Men Origins movie, and I thought Taylor Kitsch did a pretty good job with it, but why didn't it work? What makes him so popular, and why didn't it work before?
I think it doesn't work before because it's the X-Men movie. So when you're watching an X-Men movie, you expect to see the X-Men.
He was an X-Man.
But it's an ensemble piece, right?
Right.
I think it's like Wolverine. Like Wolverine is so iconic that Wolverine can get his own movie. I think this would be like the next step in that Wolverine concept, where if you're going to branch out, you could get some stories between what all those X-Men's back histories are.
Gotcha.
You don't need a Gambit movie. I think he's a supporting character. I don't think he should be a lead character. I think that the reason that there were scuttlebutt about it not happening was simply because I think they had to renegotiate his contract. I think his star power has faded. He's not as big, and they also have like a $150 million budget for a character that, outside of diehard fans, is really not very well known.
Well, you can say the same about
Taylor Kitsch is the only guy that's ever played it, and nobody went crazy.
Because Paul Rudd as Ant-Man was something that people knew before it came out, and then it came out and it was a hit.
I wouldn't really call it a huge hit, though. I mean, it's gonna come. It'll be okay, but it's not like a massive hit.
It'll cover its costs, though.
Even the second least money-making Marvel movie still made what, 45?
This isn't officially a Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. It's a Fox movie, and I'm calling it right now. I don't think Gambit. I think it'll be a flop.
Wow.
I don't know anybody that's excited about it. Nobody. Okay, one guy. Hi, Steve. One guy's excited. You don't like Channing Tatum? Who's a better Gambit? Hugh Jackman is always the answer. He's a skinny cage. Yeah. Do you like Taylor Kitsch better? Because he's free. I'm sure he could do it. I think he'd probably do it for free.
Yeah, but he'll kill the movie, whatever it's in. You put Taylor Kitsch in the movie, and it's just automatically done. So.
Right.
Poor guy. He even killed True Detective. Kills
There's a
everything.
lot more wrong with True Detective than just Taylor Kitsch. Well, let's move on. Back in March, Netflix acquired the rights for its first feature film, Idris Elba's Beast of No Nation. Now, the theaters immediately said they would not carry it as they kind of felt threatened. They don't want Netflix to have anything to do with the movie franchise. So now Netflix has landed a deal to show the film in 17 landmark theaters. Do you think this could be a real foe in theaters?
Yes, I think the theater chains are right to be scared of it. It's I think the movie-going experience is changing. It's not going to be the same as it was in even 5-10 years. It's going to be different. I think you're going to start seeing independent films and dramatic fare slowly fading out. I think you're already seeing that. I mean, there's a lot of studios that are negotiating to try and get quicker turnarounds to go to video on demand than they have been in the past. I think Paramount just did a deal for the Paranormal Activities to be on video on demand 17 days after it releases. So I think theater chains are really worried. And Landmark is a much smaller chain. But like
17 screens.
Yeah, I mean AMC and Regal and those kind of studios, that's dangerous for their business, for their model. I think in 5-10 years, all you're going to see is big Hollywood blockbusters
But why would they be upset about this though? Is it because of the same day release issue that they don't want to carry it because it'll also be watchable on Netflix, or is it because it's it's a cheaper? I don't want to say it's a cheaperly made movie, but I'm assuming Netflix doesn't have the budgetary power that you would see like $190 million budget.
The reason they don't want it to be there is because if it's available on Netflix and it's available in theaters, what makes people really want to go to the theater to see it, honestly?
Expensive
Sure,
popcorn.
same day, yeah.
Expensive popcorn?
I love the popcorn in theaters.
Popcorn is delicious.
Yeah, same day, day and date. I totally agree that it's not good for the theaters to do it. Maybe they have some negotiated contract that for maybe 2 weekends it's in the theater and then it goes to Netflix.
I think that
Scott, you're the cheapest man I know. I don't think you would ever pay to go to the movie when it's on Netflix. You would just make crappy popcorn at home.
Isn't that what we did at Last Christmas?
I think the theaters are doing this a little early, and I think it's a good thing. I think that they're worried about this being a bigger problem in the future. I don't think that a movie like Beast of No Nation is going to be a threat right now. Because if you watch it, it's like you said, it's not a summer blockbuster. It's not something that aches to be seen in the theater.
It sounds like an action spectacle.
It does, but if you see the trailer, it's very much
and they have nowhere to go. Probably has a lion. Somebody shoots at it.
I think they're being preemptive with this because they don't want it to happen. I think where they're going to really be scared is when Netflix starts coming up with blockbuster movies that people are going to want to see in the theater, and then they're going to be
That's
upset.
not going to happen. I can guarantee you.
Ever?
I don't think theaters will ever allow. They will not run anything if it's their perfect mold. I think Beast of No Nation gets a little bit of a pass, but they're not going to negotiate with Netflix for anything, let alone a blockbuster.
So you're telling me that if Netflix releases like Minions or something like or Inside Out or whatever,
The theaters will not cover. If it's like a big budget blockbuster like that or Ant-Man or any of those, like say Disney has to deal with Netflix for their TV shows. Like say they work something out and they'll have Ant-Man 2 on at the same as Netflix the same day as theaters. The theaters would not carry it.
well, I agree with
I
you.
do not think that.
I agree with you 100% there. The
it
same
would
day
really cut into
release
their mold.
issue is the issue. I think they have to do some negotiations because I think Netflix could put out some really great stuff, but I think they have to still have that model of where the theater does get an exclusive week or two or a month or whatever, and then truly show the partnership. It's not like you're saying Netflix is not allowing it to be on Netflix. It's saying, hey, we're going to wait a little bit because we need to make up some money for the budget because we want
There
to make
will
a better
always
movie.
have to be a delay of some sort. Yes. Yeah.
But it shouldn't wait, 60 or 90 days like it is for the DVD release. It should be fairly quickly after, 2-3 weeks in the theater and it's already dropped, 60%. Then you could put it on
I'm a huge
Netflix.
fan of the movie experience, so I'm actually totally on the studio's side on this one. So.
And you know me, I'm cheap. I'm on the side that I can
Oh no,
watch
you just
it.
said you'd go because you want to pay a fortune for popcorn.
I
so
was
you
being
should-
facetious.
The only
I
way
don't
I'm
know what
going
that
to
means. Don't
only
use
way
big
I'm going to a
words.
movie theater is if the chair has a bass thing in the chair, so it rumbles my butt when I watch the movie.
That's way more information.
That's a little bit more information than I wanted there, Troy.
Hey, when you saw Jurassic World that way, it was awesome. Just saying.
Did you see Magic Mike that way too?
No, it did not.
Well, let's talk about a new movie. Mission Impossible: Rogue Nation was released this past weekend, and I know Aaron and I saw it. Did you get a chance to see it?
No, it's on my list. Hopefully for tomorrow.
Is it okay?
Yeah.
Well, Aaron and I are going to talk about it. You can just be quiet for a minute.
I will.
Yeah,
No.
shut up.
I'll go like this too, so I don't hear anything.
But Aaron and I both got a chance to see it. We actually saw it together. Why don't you tell everybody what that movie's about before we discuss our thoughts on it?
It's about an
by the
impossible
way-
mission, right?
Yeah, it is. And by the way, Scott didn't buy any popcorn. Basically, if you saw Mission Impossible 1 through 4, you know exactly what it's about. It's Ethan Hunt pretending to be James Bond, and there's a rogue squadron of supposedly deceased agents that are running loose, and he thinks he can find them, so he goes dark, like he does in every single Mission Impossible movie, to find out exactly who's behind it. And then there's action set pieces. He breaks into some stuff, and then there's, of course, the motorcycle chase. Obligatory at this point. But there's no doves this time.
Obligatory or obligatory?
Either one. I don't know. I don't teach kids. So.
I do.
So what do you think, Scott? What did you think of the story this time? I mean,
Well,
they took so many chances with new ideas and concepts.
You're talking about the story. I understand it's basically in concept the same story as
Not basically. It's exactly the same story as every other Mission Impossible movie.
But you're also making. I still really enjoyed it.
No, I'm not talking about the enjoyment. I'm just right now just the story. The story was like, ooh, this is new and fresh and exciting.
Yes, but there's something to be said about being able to rehash the same basic story five times in a row and still entertaining me. I walked into this movie pretty high on watching this, and I walked out even liking it better than I thought I was going to. It's the characters worked. It was really, really enjoyable. What's the magic that they're doing to be able to rehash this story and still be able to have fun with it?
I honestly think Tom Cruise has a plan to. He's like, I'm going to make this movie 18 times, and I'm going to tell the exact same story every time, but I'm going to pick a different director. We'll just shoot it from different angles. Nobody will ever know. That's kind of what I'm getting.
The one thing that
because we don't know, we still go see it every time.
That's true.
But it worked for Fast and the Furious 7, so why can't I just keep working for Mission Impossible?
Fast and Furious starts amping things up. Like now they're dropping cars out of planes for no reason whatsoever, and it seems not logical. Mission Impossible is literally doing the exact same thing every movie.
But this time he's hanging off the side of a plane as it's taking off. Isn't that just as good as dropping cars out of a plane into a building?
And last movie, he hung off the side of a building. Remember?
Yeah.
That's kind of the same thing. It's just the building didn't move.
And in the first one, he hung off of a wire, and
yeah, you see what I'm saying?
It's Tom
You're
Cruise.
starting to catch up.
So it's the title of the next movie should be Tom Cruise Hangs Off of Things 6.
Exactly.
Is that?
Well, they got to call it MI6 because they're ripping off James Bond. It just totally makes sense.
Right, totally.
Yeah.
Oh wow! I didn't even think
That's
about
actually
that.
a really good story. Now we can make that movie.
Yeah.
I will say the one thing that I missed in this movie is the spectacle that we got in the last two.
You didn't think there was any spectacle?
There was some, but it wasn't as grand as it was. The tower in Dubai that they climbed. When I saw that in the theater, I got a little vertigo, in IMAX watching him look down that building. The biggest thing I think we got in this movie was the plane that you're talking about where he's hanging onto it.
Which has been in all the trailers, but it's actually the opening to the film, so it's not even the climax like I think everybody thought.
Right, I assumed it was going to be at the end as well, but I think that's the thing we didn't get in this movie is something that big, or something that big that was a surprise. There were some cool action sequences. There were some very cool, the car chase scene actually did some really cool things with the motorcycles.
The motorcycle chase was probably one of the best motorcycle chases I've seen in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, really well done. Very smart.
What do you think
and
about
there were no doves anywhere, so it was fantastic.
We haven't seen a dove since 2, have we? Mission
I
Impossible
don't think
2?
so, but that was enough to scar me for a while. That was a little too much woo.
I do want to talk about the characters because obviously Tom Cruise and Simon Pegg, Jeremy Renner are returning, but we got a couple new ones.
No, actually, we got a couple, but the majority. This is the first time his main team has been in a previous Mission Impossible film. Mm-hmm. Ving Rhames, Jeremy Renner, and Simon Pegg have been in previous films where every other movie has been. There's been at least one character has been new. So, what did you think of the team? Are you happy they're back together?
Oh yeah, I actually am happy that they're there. Number one, they're not killing off characters like they did in some of the other movies. But it feels like we're going back to the same series instead of it just being Tom Cruise 5. Does that make sense?
It's still Tom Cruise 5, man.
Every
Tom Cruise movie is a Tom Cruise
but
movie.
it feels less like just about Tom Cruise this time than it did than the previous sequels.
It did feel like it was a little bit more spread out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that. What did you think of the two new characters? The villain was
Isla Faust was the not really a love interest though. It was real subtle. It wasn't so blatant as previous films, and like I can't trash Mission Impossible 2 enough. Not like Thandie Newton because that was the worst love story I've seen in a long time. But Rebecca Ferguson is her name.
Yes.
She played Isla Faust. Great character because she kind of throughout the film plays both sides, and you're really unsure which side she's going to fall on.
All three sides. Really?
There's a third side?
Yeah, the British intelligence.
Oh, yeah, there you go. There's 3 sides. It's a triangle, a love triangle. And she's great. She creates a fully realized character. I mean, I was very impressed. I would like to see her come back.
What's the actor that played the villain? I can't remember his name.
Sean Harris.
Sean Harris?
Yeah.
This guy, if you guys, I didn't even see him in the trailer at all, but to me, he was more of a Bond villain than a Mission Impossible villain.
Yeah, he was a bit ridiculous, honestly.
He had this breathy voice. He talked like this all the
He
time.
talked like this the whole time. Like, I got throat cancer. Yeah. It wasn't very cool. It wasn't very cool.
Well, what's your final verdict on this film?
$10 full price for admission. I give this one $6.50. Really enjoyed it. It was fun, but I mean, it's hard to ignore the fact that it's the exact same movie I've seen 5
Wow.
times.
I was a little more forgiving about it being the same story. I had a blast with it. I love the characters. I love the story arcs that kind of kept me guessing a little bit. There are some things that they rehash.
Some things?
There's one in particular that I'm not. Did you say the moment we're talking about?
The face mask?
Yes.
There's a face mask in every movie. And the Scooby-Doo mask moment, yeah, where they, yeah.
It's like you're actually expecting it now. It's like if you don't see Tom Cruise on the screen for 15 minutes, then he's somewhere wearing a mask.
He's somewhere in here already.
So I'm more forgiving, but I had way more fun with this than I was even expecting. I actually gave it 8 out of 10. If $10 was full price of admission,
you
I give it 8.
loved it.
I did love it. My only gripe is, like you said, some of the rehash, and it's one of those that I don't know if I'd watch it again, because maybe if it had more spectacle like the last one did, I would see it more often. But
Okay.
that's my take. All right, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to get some audience participation going on now that we've done our review. We are going to do a little game called What's This Movie? Aaron has his fancy little cell phone that he's going to hold up to the microphone here, because we don't have the cool recorder like Troy does. But we're going to play a clip from a movie for you. And what we're going to do is, you guys see these T-shirts that Aaron and I are wearing? This stands for Hollywood Outsider, not something that you're probably
Well,
thinking.
this part does.
Yeah. I am a Hollywood outsider, not something dirty. Right? So what we got to do is we're going to give away one of these T-shirts to the first person that can shout out the name of the movie that this clip is from that he's going to play for you. You guys got it? You ready? Here we go.
Okay, you ready? Somebody pay attention. To
Troy and I are going to watch.
Okay.
I'm sorry, your time's run out. What do we have for the losers, Judge? Well, for our defendants, it's a lifetime at exotic Fort Leavenworth. And for defense counsel Kathy, that's right, it's a court-martial. Yes, Johnny, after falsely accusing a highly decorated Marine officer of conspiracy and perjury, Lieutenant Kathy will have a long and prosperous career teaching typewriter maintenance at the Rocco Colombo School for Women. Thank you for playing. Should we or should we not follow the advice of the galactically stupid?
Nobody?
Nobody knows what that is?
Shame on all of you. Not one person.
Let's go back. We talked about Mission Impossible, which stars Tom Cruise. That was...
it was?
Yeah.
No.
Yes. It was Rain Man. Yes. No.
No.
Are you going to name off every Tom Cruise movie ever? If you get to 1990, you'll get it right. It's not Vanilla Sky, because...
No.
Youngblood. Wow.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm so disappointed in the world right now.
You're not going to be able to handle this answer.
How about we go this way? Scotty,
I see what you did there.
did you order the code red? You're supposed to play the other part.
Hey!
There we go. Where's her T-shirt? You got her
Okay,
T-shirt?
we'll give it to you right after the show's over.
It was A Few Good Men.
A Few Good Men.
You can't handle the truth.
Every one of you should go watch that right now. Like,
You're gosh darn right I did!
that would be the Incredible Hulk, I think.
All right, well, we just got a few minutes left. We're going to wrap things up with a topic. This is where we're going to talk about how do you know when a franchise should hang it up? Now, this is TV show or movie. When is too much? Or when's it time to give it up and stop? Troy, let's start with you.
For me, it's when you go to the movie, and even though Aaron apparently thinks that it's the same movie every time he goes, you could say that about Jurassic World, the Jurassic series. You could say that about Fast and the Furious.
Jurassic World was all new. It had Chris Pratt. Something.
And that's when you should give it up. When you have to go to Chris Pratt in order
brand
to
new.
actually fill up your movie, that's when you give it up.
What do you got against Chris Pratt?
Because he's in everything. He's oversold.
Because he's awesome.
Well,
Oversold.
everybody just said they hate you. I'm just
Yeah.
letting you know, because Chris Pratt's awesome.
I think when they come, three is the end. Like trilogy,
3 seasons or 3 movies?
Yeah, trilogies work, and I think in even TV shows, that third season is when it's like awesome. Like you go back to Alias, end of third season, great. Lost, end of third season, great. Fringe, end of third season, great. All of their 4 seasons sucked. It was terrible.
Yeah.
So I think 3. A trilogy is written for that reason.
So really, just all series, all movies, all
Three-
TV shows.
three of
3 is
something.
the magic number for you.
Yeah, 3. That's what we were told when we were growing up. 3 is the magic number.
No, the really old people were told that in a stupid song.
What about you, Aaron?
You're older than I am.
I don't think there's a number. I think it's when your franchise seems like it ran out of gas. I mean, I as much as I just kind of like ripped on the Mission Impossible franchise, the franchise still works. The movies are still exciting. They're still enjoyable. I would still go see a 6th one, maybe a 7th one if they can keep Tom Cruise alive somehow and with that perfect hair. I think most franchises can go as long as there's some freshness to it, as long as it feels new, feels like I would still go see another Lethal Weapon. Even though everybody hates Mel Gibson, I would still go see it because I still enjoyed the chemistry between him and Danny Glover.
See, I disagree a little bit. I don't think that it should be when it runs out of gas. I think it should quit before it runs out of gas.
How are you going to know when it runs out of gas?
Because you're writing to a definitive story. There's an arc
quit
that I'm
while you're
trying to
ahead.
get across.
Hang on. Well, let him explain what he's saying. I don't know what you're saying.
No, you quit while you're ahead. I mean, look at one of my favorite TV series of all time is Breaking Bad. That show only had 5 seasons, and it quit right when I was at its highest moment for me. And if it would have gone even one more season,
I see TV and movies differently. I really do.
well, me too. One's on the TV and one I see on the
I
silver
see what you
screen.
did there.
Well, actually, you see them on both because you're too cheap to go to the theater.
Yes, exactly.
X-Files went way too long.
X-Files did go too
It was
long.
like, what, 9 or 10 seasons?
It went about
It's
3
coming back
seasons
for
too
10.
long. And it had one of the worst finales in history. We could talk about that for a while.
But I think that what a lot of these studios do is they try to milk so much money out of it, make it last so long.
I agree with that.
That by the time it gets to where it's run out of gas, they don't know how to do it, and then you wind up have this bad taste in your mouth about it. I think if they focus on finishing while it was strong, you're gonna like this series and have good memories of it.
But I also, like, what's that point? Like, I think most TV shows should only run 5 years. I think that should be the capper because you start getting to 6, 7, 8, then it feels like every episode I'm watching is just about paychecks. Except Doctor Who should run forever. That's just, I think you're supposed to say that here. But because there's Doctor Who everywhere. But most shows, I think, once you get past season 5, it always starts going down, and I think that's where a show should last. Now, a film franchise, I think, really depends on the actors, the kind of stories they're telling. Certain kinds of franchises, like James Bond has had how many movies, and I still love every one of them.
I was just going to ask you, besides James Bond, are there any films that have had
Harry Potter.
6, 7?
Harry Potter had 8 movies, and I loved every one of them.
And it should have only had 6.
What's that?
And it should have only had 6.
I disagree. I think 8 was the right. Well, maybe 7 because the part 1 of Deathly Hallows was really just let's just get another movie before we get to part 2.
Yeah.
But Lord of the Rings. I mean, when you add in The Hobbit, that's really 6 movies. I mean, I know it's sacrilege
different story,
to compare
though.
the two. Yeah, whatever. It's the same world. I think it really just depends on if they have a story to tell. And like Harry Potter has a story to tell. James Bond, just like Mission Impossible, same story every time. But I still love those movies because they're still entertaining. They're still gas in the tank.
So are you going to be happy you're not going to be happy because Jennifer Lawrence will be off the screen from a Hunger Games perspective. So do you think this 4th movie is good to end here, or would you want to see more Hunger
Well,
Games?
see, that's a story where I think they're telling a specific story with an opening and closing. I mean, it has a specific opening, and it has a definitive end. It knows where it's supposed to end. So I think those kind of things, you should end it where it is. If you want to continue, like as a spin-off, and tell a different side story in that world, I'm fine with that.
Well, yeah, but
Give it
Hunger
a
Games
shot.
is based on a piece of literature. I think in most cases, a lot of films or TV series kind of are going as they go, right? I mean, something like
Like Game of Thrones, right? Where it's now like outpace the books.
well, yeah, it's not past the books. Yeah, that's a good example. But I mean, even like Mission Impossible, they're not basing that on a book series. That's they're kind of figuring that out as they go along.
I mean, it's all in if you bring some freshness to it. Look at Jurassic World, you were just talking about. That's the most popular in the entire series because they rejuvenated it. I mean, it's a franchise people loved. They gave it enough time to feel fresh again. They added enough difference to make it something exciting, and people loved it. They're just going crazy about it. So there's always an opportunity to make something interesting. You just have to have the chance to do it. So to just wrap it up, just say because we hit 3 and we're done, that doesn't make sense to me. It really should be.
So really what we're saying then is franchises, in theory, could live forever if the stories
If they're done
themselves
well.
in the franchises are
Yeah.
told well.
I think a franchise could theoretically last forever. I think if you're still using the same director for every movie, then it starts growing stale because I think people start going through the motions. One of the reasons why I think Mission Impossible franchise continues so well, every movie has a different director. I think that really lends to the originality. I mean, to it feeling fresh, even though it's really not. James Bond, same thing. Other than Sam Mendes returning for Spectre, the majority of those movies are different directors. So you've got a different talent behind the camera every single time, and that's going to make it feel fresh. When you go to TV shows, generally the creator is the person that sees it through the end. So by the 5th year, 13 episodes or 22, whatever the number, it starts really showing that they're getting tired of doing their own property, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it starts wearing up. So I think TV is different in that respect.
Well, and I have a hard time saying 3 no matter what, like you're saying, because I think each series is different. Each movie series, TV series, whatever. Just saying flat 3, if Game of Thrones were done at season 3, I'd be super upset. Or Breaking Bad even.
Because there'd be no ending.
Yeah,
who wins?
They could have squished it all together in that, but that's a world that I love being in, and I'm gonna really enjoy being in that to the conclusion of all 8 seasons. You know what I mean? If I go into a series and know that I'm just gonna be done with this after 3 seasons, I might not be as inclined to watch it right away, and keep up with it and know what's gonna happen.
Well, what happens when you go 5 seasons and then it just dies because the stupid networks pull it off from underneath you, or the studio cuts the funding?
Well, that's my point. Is I don't think there's one definitive answer. It's kind of a play as you go kind of thing. It's not like you got to see how the audience reacts to it, but I think go as it goes and then make a breaking point while you're ahead. Don't try to squeeze water from a stone and make more money off of it. Have some art. I don't even know if that's the fair thing to say, but artistic merit, and quit while you're ahead.
How do you know that moment?
How do I know that moment?
How do you know that moment that like we've hit the mark? That's all we can do.
It's really hard to say. I mean, you don't want to go too high. It's about finding that sweet spot. You don't want to quit too early, but you don't want to let it.
But how do you know? Is what I'm asking you. Like, how do you know this is the time? We got nothing left.
There's no way to know for sure because it's always going to be a gamble. You're not going to know what the audience reaction is going to be to it. If you do it too early, then they're going to be upset that they don't get any more. If you do it too late, they've already lost interest. So you got to kind of take a gamble and hope for the best.
But again, you're talking about the story, though. The story is a different concept because I could go in and pitch a story and say, I'm going to need 5 seasons to tell the story, like they did with Babylon 5, for example, and they had to have all of that in order to make Babylon 5 work. Mm-hmm. But then when you look at, other stuff, it ended, but I'd still like to go back to the Babylon 5 universe. They wrote 1,000 years in the past and 1,000 years in the future, so as a franchise, it could live forever, but I want a different story than the original Babylon 5 story.
Or you could just do what Lost did and say, we have a whole story we're going to tell, and then stretch it out for 6 seasons and not answer any questions.
Ooh.
Well, it was going to be done in 5, but then the writer's strike happened, and they had to course correct because of the writer's strike.
Right.
They still should have.
Same problem with Heroes.
They still didn't. He's kind of right. They didn't really answer some stuff.
There were answers. You just missed them.
Oh, there's that argument.
All right, well, we are just about out of time. I want to thank everybody that is here listening to us. Hope you guys had a good time. Remember, Aaron and I are the hosts of The Hollywood Outsider, and you can
remake this movie right as well.
And remake this movie right. Our website is thehollywoodoutsider.com. We got a new episode every Tuesday. Be sure to grab our Apple or Google app. We're also on iTunes, Stitcher, or whatever podcast app you use. Troy, thanks so much for joining us today.
Absolutely. It's great to be with you guys. I love it.
Really appreciate it. Where can everybody find you or follow you?
Best place right now, just go to about.me/Troy Heinritz. Heinz Ketchup, Ritz Crackers, no Z in the middle. And, of course, you can listen to us this summer on UnderTheDomeRadio.com. And then in the fall with Mr. Peterson over there, we'll be doing a little Blacklist action at theblacklistexposed.com.
Do you want to mention your gaming podcast?
Absolutely. I don't know if you guys, any video gamers in the house? I got a bunch of younger crowd here.
A lot of video gamers out there, raise your hand.
Anybody play video games? All right. I have a podcast called The Gaming Outsider, which we do 2 or 3 episodes a week, little shorter ones. Please give us a listen. It's a lot of fun. But this is, for the meantime, Aaron, thanks for coming too.
Hey, thanks for having me, Scott.
So then, and just as a reminder, guys, next time you go to a theater, buy popcorn.